Okay, so back to the continuation of the tradition of my life. Hello, hi, my name is Heaven George, and I'm from Redlands, California. This is part 2. I'm gonna blog out of my gangstalking stuff. So organized harassment, community-based harassment, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It's just like finding a perfect word to describe this. It's kind of hard. I know they have books on this issue. Not really, though. Not in your local library. The legal. Understanding the legal aspect of what's going on may or may not be helpful in that, like, if you cannot go to court, if you don't have actually, like, evidence to, like, prosecute or, like, penalize these people, it doesn't seem that important in that to know, mostly it's just, move on with your life, be happy, blah, 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 stuff like that. That's, like, the most important thing, because, these people are not exactly... there's really not a solution. I said this before many times. There's it's ultimately, this is just most likely the remainder of your life. Like I said, government supports it, or at least it seems that way with my experiences of how it was treated in a lot of these services and things like that. Other examples or things I can think of. The noise harassment, the body language harassment, sign language gesturing harassment, to me is the worst part of the situation, in that, like, if everybody just avoided me, that would be still, it's really sad. There's different levels of avoidance, because, you can break the law by avoiding. It'll be like, oh, okay, I'm not going to give you health insurance services. Sorry, I'm not going to work with you. I'm your doctor, but I'm not going to work with you. Or I'm your teacher and I refuse to grade your paper, or I'm your employee, I'm going to fire you. So there's levels of avoidance. You could break the law in terms of avoiding. I'm not talking about, like, the law breaking aspect of avoiding. I'm just talking about, like, just socially don't talk to the person other than what's necessary for your job, what the job and law requires. That's avoidance. Body language, sign language, gesturing harassment is not avoidance. It is a form of abuse, like mental, psychological abuse. Now, it's not verbal abuse, because verbal abuse is when you're actually saying bad words. Mental, I don't even know really if this would quantify as mental, emotional, psychological abuse. I believe it does quantify as such. I don't know if that it's part of the dictionary definition, or at least what has been scientifically proven as what quantifies or qualifies as that. Usually, the verbal abuse is the clearest, but there's a lot of things people can do that are not exactly verbally abusive, but they can harass you. Obviously lying would quantify as verbal abuse, but it would be very difficult to prove. Not always. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I guess it depends on what the lie is, if it's obvious or it's not obvious. There's other things, like really snidey comments, in that, like, they're insulting you without really insulting you, meaning they're doing a lot of implied code comments or code conduct, which is the body language, sign language, gesturing harassment definitely falls into this trap. I don't know, I haven't really seen much articles on this issue. A lot of the YouTubers or a lot of the Google stuff searches and read books, they do mention sensitization tactics, but they don't really talk about it in depth, and that it's probably very difficult to prove, and that showing examples, even if you did the physical gestures of what people are doing to you, if you had the videos. Well, I think with videos, it's not really important aspect is probably what the issue is that if they were not gossiping about you, then people would not be doing the body language, sign language, gesturing harassment. They're doing the body language, sign language, gesturing harassment as a representation that they gossiped about you. Like I said in other videos, people do not tell me that they gossiped about me. Nobody has gone up to me like, we have gossiped about you. They will say bad things about me. They will say, this is what you are, that you are a criminal and you have done this and this and this. They will accuse you of things, but they won't specify who the source of where they got the information from. So that's something that, I have yet for them to disclose, because there's obviously the adults are passing the rumor along, but they're not specifying who the adults are. I have some particular guesses on rare occasions, but I for example, I use the body language, sign language, gesturing harassment as evidence as to who's possibly participating. Not everybody in this community is doing it, obviously, or not everybody, but a lot of people are participating in the code, hand signals or body movements and stuff in order to sensitize you, or even code words. So sometimes they'll use, like, one particular word, and then they'll just say it once or a few times. Usually it's just once. But you'll hear like 10 or 20 or 30 or even 50 other people in a given year use that code word when they are near you. like whispering it in your ear or walking by. So then you know with the code word that they've talked about you, but of course they don't tell you who they did this or that they're talking about you, but it's just like, you know, this is where the psychological harassment comes in, is that like basically it's amazing, you know, it's amazing that they picked on me and all this other stuff. This is for me the worst part, in that like they will not create peace. They will not create a sense of peace of mind, because what they're doing is they're like creating mental stimulation, in that like visually you're becoming sensitized to a lot of body movements and a lot of body gestures. And I guess with my situation it's a lot harder because they're making fun of my body in the process, and that like most people's body, maybe I'll show you some pictures of what my body looks like in the near future. I don't know if I'm going to do that, if I have the confidence, but I can give you an explanation of why I'm an easy target for this. I'm fat, and you know, that's one reason. We'll leave it at that. I have a lot of body problems, probably more than the average person. I believe most of it's genetic. You know, it's not a result of. Anyways, I get blamed for being so fat. And this whole topic of gluttony, I'll maybe get into it in another video of how I don't believe I quantify for the definition of gluttony. And that, like I said, my religious interpretation, I'm very moderate in that I don't really have the strictest. I have a moderate view. I don't have some people, I think some people, their interpretation of religion is really twisted, in that whatever they do, they'll just be like, it doesn't count as a sin. Because I did it, it doesn't count. Or most people did it, so it doesn't count as a sin. But oh no, if it's something that most people would not do, but it's a really minor error, but like most people would not do it, then they'll like, oh, that's really bad, because most people wouldn't do it. But it's not even necessarily a crime. So they'll like kind of pinpoint and pick things out like that, and I feel that's how the community members' thought processing is with the situation. If most people do it, then you're not going to go to hell. If very few people do it, even if it's a minor error, or if it's a result of people provoking the person to an unnatural level of stress, that they're going to count that as a bigger error, basically, even though it doesn't even count. Even though, like, biblically, you're not going to find any scripture defending that error in any way or at all or whatever. So, these people, in my opinion, these people that participate in gangstalking or community-based harassment, on top of the fact they're going to hell. They're going to hell. On top of that, because this is satanic. This type of behavior they do is satanic. You know, they have a twisted interpretation of the Bible. These people in the community that participate in this gossip, slander, mobbing, they have a twisted interpretation of the Bible, in that they cut it up whatever way that they please, and that they'll take one or two verses here to, oh, we hard work, so we have a job, we take care of ourselves, see, we're good people. But then they're lying, they're gossiping, they're mentally abusive, they're falsification documentation in their records, their job, harassment, all this bullying type crap. Oh, sorry, that's part of the Bible we ignore. Like, these people have a twisted concept of the Bible. It's just really twisted in that they just cut it up. They focus on the parts that make them feel good, and then the parts that critique their own behavior, they ignore those. It's basically how these people, their interpretation of religion is. It's to a conclusion I've come to how they could do something like this and go to church. Is you know, they cut and paste whatever they feel and stuff like that. Anyways, other examples for the situation that I can think of. The Bible, it's the worst part because it's done on a daily, consistent basis everywhere and anywhere that you go. I don't even get peace in my house, and that there, my family is 100% participating in it, and they've done it from before September 2011. They did it from 2009, late 2009, early 2010, and stuff like that. But it was just, yeah. So that's the worst part, because, you know, when you tell people to stop, they'll, like, say we're not doing anything wrong. And also, it's just really annoying because they have a lot of community members. It gets you really mentally. I don't do that crap. I just say better words. I don't do that. Not that I'm anyway proud of insulting people sometimes, but I'm just here to say I'm very provoked. In my current environment, they consistently, on a consistent basis, provoke me. They're not treating me respectfully at all. But anyways, that's the same situation with the government employees. So, situation with the government in place. What did I say about that? Gang stalking or community-based harassment is very hard to deal with. You have to be kind of there's no way to really fix this problem, to be honest with you. I can't give you any solutions. If you want, you can go other people. They're only gonna tell you. I've been a lot of videos I've been watching is like ignore it, know you're a good person, or go to church, or just be happy, blah blah blah. You know, all this stuff about like ignoring your problems. Yeah, but you can. I don't really think that. For me, it definitely has not worked. There's no advice. You can't turn to family. It's better to, if you have the physical ability to take care of yourself, it's better to take care of yourself than depend on the homeless shelter or family or friends. It depends on if they like you or not, because if they don't like you, then it's not a good option. For a lot of people that are supposedly gang stalking victims, they say that they really don't have family to go to, and that, well, of course, your age, like once you're older, you can't use them as a resource or your friends. You have to use a homeless shelter or take care of yourself. I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on the person. I don't think all of them get relationship problems. I think it just depends on the severity of them. I already know mine because it was a pedophile rumor. The severity of abuse is beyond extreme, in that like they're very aggressive. It's probably the worst rumor you could actually do to a person. So unlike a murder, you need a dead body. With pedophilia or sexual abuse or whatever, you just need the person to say that they've been a victim. You don't really need real evidence. And initially, I mean, like from the beginning, they didn't have an identity. They didn't have a person to claim, sexual abuse of. I was being sexually abused through this whole process, through body language challenge, just through harassment, and it's my definition of it, so I don't know. I know legally it wouldn't quantify, but I feel they'd be like, oh, well, them calling you fat is not sexual abuse. No, they're doing a lot of stuff to sexually stimulate your mind. They're doing a lot of stuff to get you sexually stimulated. It's not just like, oh, okay, you have big ugly thighs, or you have big, your belly is not flat, or you have stretch marks or whatever. No, it's definitely that. For me, that was a big part of what they were doing, because I have such a really bad body type, so it's really easy for them to kind of pin with that, but through sign language and all that, body language conditioning harassment. But there's another part. They're doing a lot of things to sexually stimulate. That's another video, the sexual stimulation stuff I'll put, about how they're trying to literally because, again, mine is a pedophile rumor. You guys, I don't know if you're going, because I look a lot of videos, not all of them have pedophile rumors out, so I guess it depends on what the gang stalking is about. I know with mine, there's a lot of focus and thought about the body, and well, then again, for everyone, even those with no pedophile rumors that are being gang stalked, because they can target you for like financial. Example, if they say that you stole money at work, or you didn't do your job correctly, or political view, mainly there's a lot. I don't know what. Whistleblower, if you complain too much on the job, they could just label you a liar, an insufficient worker, and blah. They could do a slander campaign based on that as well. So it's not just sex-related issues. Mine, because it has to deal with sex crimes and stuff, that's why that they cannot even prove. Not that I trust them, because they can create evidence whatever way they want. They were able to get this many people to turn against me that they couldn't even prove. So, anyways, the neighbors, I believe that people on our street are involved. 100%, I believe that people on this street that I'm living, I think they're involved too. That's another topic. I think that they, my sexual abuser, I saw them on the street. I saw them visit one of the neighbors on a special holiday. I saw them. I'm not going to say which neighbor it is, because I don't want to, they may not know that this person was a sexual abuser, so that's why I'm not stating which person on the street. I'm not stating it because this person may not really know who this person is, but I saw them there, so that's why I think the neighbors may be not next door. It could be across the street, could be just whatever, could be next street over, could be fifth house down, whatever. I'm not here to label. I don't want to get my neighbors involved with this, but it's possible. It's possible that they're involved in the slander mobbing campaign, though I'm not exactly 100% positive. I think it's possible, in that my sexual abuser, I literally saw them for a holiday. It was weird. So anyways, Anyways, as I say, I'd love to give you more identification purposes, but I can't. I don't know. I'm getting a lot of information I thought I wouldn't even put out here. Like, I thought I'd be a lot more secretive and stuff. I guess I don't have that much to say, which is why I can't really depend on much to do. Anyways, other examples for a situation. What other type of help can I get with this? The body image, child language, gesturing harassment, and noise harassment is extremely painful though, because the noises are. It's the worst part. It's the worst part. Well, reputation damage is probably the worst part, but it's the worst part because on top of it not being provable, you have all the video in the world, and you're not be able to prove the body language, sign language, gesturing harassment. It does look odd. Hypothetically, if you had a video everywhere you went, here's the thing: if you had a video camera everywhere you went, they would not do all the amount of harassment that they did. There would be certain things that they would obviously cut out. There would be certain things that the worst parts of what they do, they would obviously not do it. Well, yeah, if they were the gossiping, you can't follow every person gossiping you. But I'm just saying, for me, what I can visibly see on me, if I had the camera on me, obviously not the camera with them gossiping with all the trash talking. I'm not there, so, but that would definitely solve the problem, and that's all the evidence in the world in the court and all that stuff, and they'd have my freaking $1 million lawsuit and all that. But yeah, that's not possible. But the video camera, carrying it around, to why I have not done that is, I know I've seen some YouTubers do that. The only part you're really gonna catch on camera is the violent, challenge, gesturing harassment. They're not the verbal abuse sometimes, but not always, and it's gonna you can't really penalize them for that. Like, not really. They're not really going to do it on camera. So, the violent, challenge, gesturing harassment, it's hard to prove too. It's not, they can't really necessarily be penalized for it. It would look really, really bad, and it would embarrass people. And like I said, the severity of the abuse that they would do, I think they would minimize it. If you carried a camera everywhere, I don't think they would be as bad as if, yeah. So, anyways, that's the worst part, because that's the part you have to see on a frequent basis, and they do a lot to, like, mentally stimulate you. I don't know. Like, I don't know if they do it to everyone. I know that if you go on the websites, they tell you that with the body language challenge, gesturing harassment stuff, or sensitization method, they do it to everyone, but there's, like, it's usually, like, pen tapping, or, like, stuff like riveting and things to annoy people and stuff like that. They just do stuff like that. I know with mine, a lot of the body language challenge, gesturing harassment either reflects being fat or has to reflect sexualization of the body. Even though, like I said, on video it may not reflect that, but if you see it enough time, it will sense you to. So pretty much, the fat one is pretty big right now. I know they really aim for the fat one. Or the gay, lesbian, sexual topics, transgenderism, all this stuff like that. And it doesn't matter. Both of them are equally as painful. There's not one that's more painful than the other. There are things, I already said, there's a few things that would 100% qualify as sexual abuse by a legal standard, but it's not. Most of what they have done is sadly illegal. But the reason, if they never gossiped about me, they wouldn't do the body language challenge, harassment and stuff. They're treating me like a sex offender is basically what it is. They're treating me like I'm on a sex offender registry and that I've been found guilty of a crime. Or even if you're found not guilty, like in a court case or something like that. The problem, like I said, is they don't really have anything to put me in court or whatever. Though, like I said, they've done a lot. I mean, jailing someone is not really that difficult. All you have to do is say, especially it's really easy. All you gotta do is hit yourself, especially if you're married or you're domestic, you're living together, boyfriend, girlfriend, or something. You just injure yourself and then say that your partner hit you. Okay, that's like all you have to do, basically. So, not always, but specifically the face. So I have a lot of imperfections. It wouldn't necessarily work for me. I don't know. Like, I know cutting would not work. So if you started like cutting yourself up, they would claim that's a disease for cutting. That would never constitute, they could never use that as evidence that they attack. Stabbing, they may or may not, yeah, they could count that as somebody attacking you because it's some sort of injury to your like internal organs. Whereas, cutting, like superficial cuts, like on the top of your body, they're going to claim you did it yourself, pretty much, unless it's a stab wound. I mean, stab is like when they, you put it all the way into your muscles. Basically, you put the knife down to with an object, put it into your bone. So that's pretty much how. So cutting, they will not ever use that as real evidence. You have to. The other one is mainly bruising, like through punches and stuff like that, or if you had it on videotape, whatever, hitting and stuff. Anyways, framing someone for a crime, anyone can do it. It's not really difficult. And for police, it's just really easy. Stop and frisk. They could just, like, for no reason at all when they're not really supposed to. Or whatever ways can they harass people? They could just say that you were verbally abusive or something. Or you tried to fight him or something like that. And they could put you in for stupid stuff. Literally, it's your word against theirs. Then they can give you tickets for no reason at all. There's who's the witness to that? It's you versus him. All the other cars are gonna be driving by. No one's gonna like have their car watching. Because you're talking with him for like 5 to 15 minutes, right? All the other cars will pass you by at that time, so you're not gonna have any witnesses to the situation. And and even if you were not speeding, you're supposed to pull over. That they wheel. You have to pull the car over, and yeah, was it when they pull the car over? What ends up happening? Yeah, they check your information. They could just say that they were looking for a suspect with your car description or something. That's the reason they pulled you over or something. And then they lie and harass and give you a ticket in the first process or whatever for no reason at all. I mean, it's just like if they really wanted to set you up, they could. Your boss could fire you for 100% absolutely no reason because they have full authority over you and that, like, they don't need a reason to fire you. Well, they do, legally speaking, but it's you versus them. And anything they say is taken as fact. Anything you say, you have to actually prove that they made them. So, example, you, the employee, you have to prove that they made a mistake. Basically, they don't have to prove you made any mistake at all. They don't have to prove anything. They do. I mean, of course, unless a lawsuit in a court and all that stuff like that, something happened like that, then they might have to end up defending each other. But how would you be able to? They could just delete your assignments. All the paper you turned in for your work, they could just get a shredder and shred it and put it in a trash can, burn it, whatever, or delete it from the computer and say you didn't turn your work, and then you get fired like that. Meaning they purposely delete your assignment and then they blame you for it. So that's what I'm trying to highlight. Your boss could fire you pretty much for no reason. They really want it. Legally speaking, no. If they get caught, they can be in trouble for that. They could even get jail time for that because they could get fired and jailed because they're abusing the law. Somebody's for something. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. A position of authority. That's what it means when you're an authority figure. That's the little perks you get, people you don't like for no reason at all. You can do stuff like that. Now, anyways, I think the mood, a lot of random facts.